computer. Right, today I decided to call this session Presenting with Impact and Confidence. So you might wonder, well, confidence, yeah, I've got, maybe I don't have it, but what is this impact? What is this impact when we go and present? What does it mean? How do we eat that, Jose? How can we incorporate it? How can we become impactful presenters? But before any of that, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your very unique presentations, introductions, I will call it this way, because I don't want you to go presenting for then take 5 minutes. So let's just start. Let's just, go. It's a small group right now. So we start with the one and only Cordelia. And as you do that, Cordelia, do tell us a little bit about next week. And then we are going to be promoting the heck out of that event for next week. Ketan is joining us as well. So Cordelia, over to you.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good to be here. Thought I'd come along and check it out because I haven't actually been yet. Didn't want to just rock up for the speaker thing next week. I'm Cordelia and met Jose on Clubhouse. I've spoken to probably a couple of you on Clubhouse as well. It's cool to be able to see faces. I'm a business coach. I help people to build incredible communities. And yeah, basically.
And what are you talking about next week, Cordelia?
Oh yeah, next week I'm going to show you how you can build your own tribe funnel. And tribe funnels are really awesome because it's basically where it's, I believe, the most effective organic marketing strategy for growing your audience, creating a shitload of sales, but also creating a ton of fulfillment in your business. So I'm going to go through step by step on how you can implement that in your business and also how to take advantage of Facebook because, they take advantage of us. Let's do the same.
I love that. Thank you so much, Cordelia. What a pleasure to have you here. So people, I just want you, here's your challenge now. I just want you to enter yourself with half the energy that just Cordelia had. Half the energy, at least. So let's just pass on the mic. Okay, I see some people are dropping in and out, maybe connection. So Ketan, are you with us, buddy? Would you like to enter yourself quickly?
Hey, yes, I am. I'm sorry, I joined late.
It's okay. So first of all, what do you think about Cordelia's intro?
I joined in while she was doing it, and I was like, wow.
You fell off your chair, yeah?
Yeah, it was like a bomb of energy thrown at me.
Yeah, I know. They call her the tornado.
I'm not surprised why. And the 2 or 3 sessions that I've attended, I've always seen Jose to be the most energetic person in the room, but you've been beaten by you've been thrashed. Sorry. So well done on that front, ma'am.
Amazing. So Ketan, what do you do, buddy? Would you like to share quick intro? Because we are, in a way, we're also going to be giving feedback about the introductions, the energy, but the energy in different ways. So how engaging you are when you present yourself. And then I'm going to be giving you a few tips and tricks for you to implement, and then we'll see how we go.
Oh, okay. So I've done my master's in NLP, like I've already told you all. I train, I conduct one-to-one sessions, I do coaching, and I'm also a lawyer. So there's a lot of public speaking needed. So far as my career has been, I have always received a feedback that the passion, the energy has always been there. But I somehow feel if I were to rate myself, the energy has always been my weaker side. I focus too much on the content sometimes, and then I get too gripped with it, and then I lose the sense of being energetic. So I think presentation skills is very important, and I feel more when I saw about introduction and Jose.
Okay, buddy. Well, thank you so much, Ketan. Next time, let's organize something for you to do a mini presentation on the show as well, just to see what's going on inside that head of yours, and then how we can structure it as well, so we can speak about it. And then we've got Rashmi. Look at that smile. I mean, she cannot stop smiling. That's proper energy. I mean, it's just completely frozen there. Herman, quick intro, buddy.
Oh my gosh, I cannot help laughing at Rashmi's face like right now. So half of the energy. Rashmi, you were frozen and you were very smiley. I took a screenshot I'm going to share later on. Well, guys, I'm a videographer. I'm based in Manchester. I support people while creating videos. And also I'm co-founder of Browsing Marketing with my brother. So we support small businesses to grow online, basically. And yeah, I think that's the quickest intro I can do.
Okay, so was that half energy on purpose, or is it because you couldn't take it up a notch? We'll see. We'll see that later. We'll touch on that. We've got, okay, MS. Is it I think I read your name when you first joined. Would you like to quickly intro yourself, or you're just going to be listening in the background? Either way, it's all good. I'm going to start in a moment. If you want to unmute yourself, say hello. The same with Eunice. If you, well, I'm assuming ladies, I know Eunice, and then what I see is a lady on that picture, MS. So if you want to quickly intro yourself, that's fine. If not, as I said, I'm going to get started. And today it's all about presenting with confidence, impact, and everything else. And before I carry on, I just need to tell you about this. I need to. Yeah. So who likes paella, or let's go paella, Spanish food, or so they call it in, you know, in English in the UK, especially paella. The first time I heard a guy saying, "You like paella?" I didn't know what that was, but then eventually I realized he meant paella. Anyway, a couple of days ago, my wife, darling wife, said to me, "Okay, I've got a surprise for you." So she took me to London to this tiny restaurant. Of course, Spanish restaurant. It's run by people from Valencia. So I had the opportunity to speak to Antonio, who's the owner. What a lovely guy. The greatest thing about the whole evening, imagine this place, which is tiny. They could only fit a few tables. So very special. So you sit, of course, and then they actually bring the whole thing close to you so you can actually add the ingredients and stuff. So you, in a way, they tell you what to do, but you're making your own paella. It was fantastic. Great experience. The wine, of course, as you can imagine. But what I enjoyed the most was actually the conversation I had with Antonio. So it was the whole combination. And of course, being with my wife there, I didn't pay the bill, which was even greater. So loved it. And how he told me, you know, from the early beginning when he arrived in the UK, everything he did, everything he overcame to actually have that tiny restaurant fully booked 365 days a year. Listen to this, 365 days a year is fully booked. How did my wife do it? I don't know. It was a privilege, and that paella looked fantastic. It was amazing. Quick question to you people. Who would like to know the name of this restaurant? Yeah, but very likely you're wondering, well, Jose, you haven't told us the name. Or yeah, how do we reach out to this Antonio? Who's in charge of making the bookings? And so much more. What have I just done, people? What have I just done right now? Let me see, there's something in the chat. Okay, all right, so MS to observe, great energy, fantastic. So what have I just done in that? Quickly. Not all at the same time. What have I done? Okay, you decided to be quiet today. Well, I'm gonna sip a bit of coffee.
Persuaded us.
Okay, it's a bit of, yeah, persuaded us. Yeah, that's a view. Exactly. So simply put, I decided to, instead of starting the usual way to start a presentation, I decided to throw in a story. And you may wonder, is the story related to what we're touching on today? Yes, it is. Not because we're going to be speaking about paella or food, but it's about impact. And what do I mean by impact? 4 elements that happen in there. There is a way in which I engaged and came across. Then that created an impression, not just about me, but about the whole environment that I was describing. I'm painting a story in your heads, if you like. Then the third one, there is a trust element, maybe towards myself a little bit more towards the place, towards the thing that I'm describing. And finally, there is what I like to call positive influence. Because you, in a way, wanted to know the name of the restaurant, we're thinking about maybe going there, finding out more about Antonio, maybe Googling it, or even maybe got you hungry, thinking about food or what you're going to be doing tonight. Okay? There might be a more specific purpose to it, but there's 4 elements. Remember, you engage, you leave an impression every time you engage in people. Then there is the trust building process. And then finally, the influence level. But then it might be that when you engage people, the impression is it doesn't have to be positive. So you get a negative impression and forget about the trust and forget about the influence and everything else. So you generally have just like the one opportunity. So use it wisely. If you want to create impact, sometimes it can be a good idea to incorporate stories. So do you tell stories during your presentations? What kind of stories do you share? I want you to start thinking about all of this because they are key. The most powerful people are the storytellers. And it's something that you can begin, as I said, to incorporate more regularly. If you're speaking about videos, if you're speaking about marketing, if you're speaking about the tri-funnels, I'm sure Cordelia has got plenty of stories. We're not going to go deeper in those because that's why we have the session next week. So Ketan, whenever you speak about the NLP and things like that, you start, yeah, the usual, you know, I'm Ketan and I'm an NLP master trainer and everything else. How about, you know, you could start actually differently. People, let me briefly tell you about how I came to Switzerland and what the challenges have been and how I've used NLP on neurolinguistic programming to overcome many of them and to connect with people and this and that and to take my business to the next level. You see, there's different angles to it in which we can intro ourselves quickly and then we can hook the audience. I use this same slide on my workshops because I want to get people speaking about it, engaging, noticing that, wow, this was a different start and I'm still engaged. I'm still here instead of giving facts and facts and facts and facts. So I've got this here. Feel free to interrupt me at any time. This is, you know, the presentation I tend to run here, the full-on presentation. But imagine, you know, we always like to see what's above the water. So we see, so for me, I like to use the Pareto Principle here because success when it comes to speaking, presenting and everything else, that 20% is actually what we know. And we may believe, and we may know a lot. I know a lot. I've read 200 books. And last year, you know, I read 500 and I've been to 200 different seminars and webinars and things. But when you ask these people, not all of them, how many times have you spoken? Oh, not as many. So that 80%, what's underneath below the water are the abilities to communicate effectively. Communication skills, mindset. It's not what you know, it's what you do with it, how you present it, how you engage people with this. Again, you go and see a great presenter. And then you probably next week, you'll see Ket and you and his people join us and you see, wow, Cordelia's presenting and you see, she's great. Look at the energy, look at this. And then you want to stay in there. There's knowledge. She's keeping us, you know, on our, what do you call this? You're tiptoeing. Is it tiptoeing? So you keeping us on the, you know, tip of our toes. It doesn't matter. That's my English going wrong right now. So what's underneath? What has Cordelia got that's enabling her to be perceived as such? Because we love to see, oh, this person is very successful. But then do we actually wonder what's underneath? What has that person gone through to get to that point? I know Cordelia has got some very powerful stories when she shared, you know, how she started and where she is today, the struggle and everything else. What has she learned? And Cordelia, I'm using you as an example because I know you run this successfully as well. And it's great to have you here. And I'm delighted to have you next week as well. So what's happening in there? So who would like to share? What can be on the water that we don't see, but then we could explore and we could begin to learn in order to be that great presenter? Because if we see in that person, then we could learn the skills. We could learn, you know, what that person is doing in order to, in a way, replicate it in our own way. So what's happening there? There's loads of different things, and you can add more things to it even. There's loads. So it goes from the language they use, the belief system. I always like to start with purpose, identity. I mentioned already the storytelling, the practice. How many times have they done it? How much do they prepare before? Are they always learning? Are they always applying? Are they always trying something new? Are they always out of their comfort zone? Because eventually that's what you're seeing. You see the reflection of all of that. But yet we like to see, yeah, we stay with that 20%, we see amazing. But then if we're in business, if we want to grow, if we want to start speaking on different stages, new stages, get people to engage, get people to benefit from our products or services, that's where we need to focus. That's the 80% down there right now, plus many more things that you could be thinking about that we could be touching on next. So let me just take you to the next one, because otherwise this is just like a full-on workshop. When I speak about this, I touch on 4 key elements, okay? And the one you've already experienced, the emotional connection. And the emotional connection that happens is a bit of a combination between, you know, the story, how I tell the story, my body language, what I'm thinking about myself in the process, my presence and all of that. Because imagine, in sales, in business, when you're presenting, if you're not creating some sort of emotional connection, What are we doing? How are we being memorable? How are we getting that people to take action? This is why energy is so important. And energy doesn't mean having Cordelia's level of energy or my level of energy, which, you know, we're more kind of extroverted and out there and yeah, and they smile. It can be an energy of certainty. It can be an energy that I'm so certain, sure about what I know and the implications of you learning what I'm about to share, that I'm grounded. Nothing can shake me off. That's that level. And then I've got powerful content that I crafted, that I've delivered, that I practice. This is where I like to speak about the science of a presentation, people. And also there is a science behind storytelling as well, because then you can craft stories in a certain way. You can leave elements out. You can use, going back to neurolinguistic programming, Ketan, we can use Milton language, being artfully vague in the language we use to get people to, oh, but there's missing information in there. And then the mind in the audience is trying to fill in the gaps, but I still don't know what's going to happen. And then you're building in that curiosity, that excitement, that anticipation towards what's next, you see? So yes, you're persuading people, but with a purpose. And I always like to say to positively influence them so that they take a decision, they make a decision that benefits them. Whole self-delivery. I could just be showing my face and that's it. And actually with my face, I could convey plenty of emotions. That's why, you know, I got my big eyebrows and, you know, the eyes and the mouth and everything. I'm using everything to my advantage, the smile. You know, when I smile, and you can practice this as well, it's not just a smile. You know, I smile with my eyes, I smile with everything. It's not the Mona Lisa smile. I give it everything. And this is creating a connection, a different connection between us. And it's been proven that the power of smile can bring neural activities closer. That's why, you know, when a baby, you smile and the baby smiles at you, there is something going on in there. So that is what I'm talking about, whole self-delivery. Oh, just have your hands like this, or like this, or like this. Yeah, use them with purpose. But when I say use them with purpose, it's like if I'm illustrating something, why would I be speaking just like that? If I'm illustrating something, then I can refer to this thing here, and then I can take you because then I want you to finish there, or if it's going up and down. Maybe sometimes I even do this, but you know, it depends on what I'm illustrating. The other day I was jumping on an escalator, so I just wanted to, and then I'm on the escalator, whoa, you see, and then I come back. Whatever that might be that you want to illustrate, use all of these resources that you have, especially when we are in the virtual world. People get tired of you seeing you like that. And then unshakable state. Unshakable state reconnects with emotional connection, and it's all, that's why I call it like a wheel. It's like a circle, like a cycle. Unshakable state, which comes with practice, memory techniques, how much control you have over the topic, but then also being in a resourceful state in connection with purpose, with who you are throughout your presentation. So no matter what happens, even if the whole thing fell apart right now, and by the way, I've got this thing that I got from my wife, again, she's amazing, for Christmas, and it's called Harmony. So I got like a full-on standing desk. It's fantastic. So I'm promoting Harmony here. If you guys want to give me a commission for that, amazing. But even if the whole thing fell apart, I would grab my phone and reconnect with this. You know, I find a way to come back. It's being ready. This is, and I spoke about this last time, and Ketan, you probably remember when I spoke about resilience as speakers and everything else, being more resilient. So these are the 4 elements. Enough of me for a moment. Have we got anyone else in here waiting to enter? No, we're good. Rashmi, how are you? Is that connection okay? Oh, we got MS now. Okay. Right. So who would like, based on what I've said, some of the things I've shared so far, who would like, and then I'll give you a quick structure for a story as well. Who would like to share a quick story? And I want to know what's happening and what's stopping you from raising your hand as well, once you raise your hand, of course. And also what's happening when you see other people raising their hands or not raising their hands, and is that building a bit of anticipation, excitement? Are you getting worried? Are you getting nervous? Is your, you know, your heart racing, or you just don't care? What's happening? Because think about it, every time, we never know, every time we get an opportunity to share, this can lead to a new connection, to us impacting someone's life. And I saw, Ketan, you unmuted yourself. So saying yes to these things, jumping on that train is what I always encourage people to do. be ready for this. This is what I'm calling also an unshakable state, that, you know what, it's kind of the yes attitude. You're ready for it. So Ketan, don't give us 2 hours. Just give us a couple of minutes and see, and then we can all give you feedback and see how that landed and everything else. Are you ready, buddy?
Yes, I am.
How ready are you from 1 to 10?
9.
Okay, how can we take you up to 10 right now?
Yes, I need that.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's
9
it.
because 9 because I know the story, but I don't know if it will land. So that 1 is still
Okay,
there.
so add that one in there as well, because what if it lands? Maybe I don't know, maybe I do know, but what if I knew it was going to land one way or another? How would that impact your delivery differently?
Yes.
Over to you, bro.
Okay, so here's a story of a Sufi saint. Her name is Rabia. She was supposedly pretty wise, and a man reaches up to her saying, I'm troubled in my life, and there's a lot of mess going on. My relations aren't working, my business isn't working. Most things are in a state of shambles. To which Rabia said, yeah, of course I can help you, but before that, you would need to help me. It's like, sure. She said, I've lost a needle, and could you please help me look for it? They both started looking for it in the courtyard outside her house. And for a moment, the man stopped and he's like, do you remember, where did you last see it, or where did you lose it? And, yeah, I do remember. I lost it inside the house. And the man was dazzled. Like, what's wrong with you? If you've lost it inside the house, why are you looking it outside? To which Rabia kind of paused and said, exactly my point. If the answers are within you, you are the problem. Why are you looking for solutions from me? Or why are you looking for any kind of answer from outside? Look within. And I say the story because this is exactly what I'm trying to use NLP into. I'm building up a school of thought, which is eye contact, not eye contact, using NLP. And yeah, that's my bit.
Amazing, buddy. Round of applause to Ketan. People watching this on replay, connect with this guy. He's amazing. And I loved it. So there you go. One thing I want to share, because there is a clear dialogue. It's got characters in the story, which makes it more engaging. And the most important thing here, there are things, of course, to improve, because storytelling is such an art. And as I said, a science. There is always going to be something to learn that we can do, that we can tweak, that we can move around when we're having the conversation between the characters as well, in order to animate it even further. But there is one thing, there is a point to the story. And that's always important. I speak about using stories to illustrate points, or telling a story and then sharing the point of that story. So, for example, imagine that I'm going to be speaking about identity. And then usually when I speak about identity, I share a story of me coming to the UK, my first day at work, and the first few days. So it goes like this, quickly. And actually, I take it a bit back. I land in the UK finally, and there I am. Sunny skies, the dream. It was September. I could still get that summery smell, I was so excited. Well, you know what? Of course, it wasn't like that. When I arrived in the UK, it was raining and it was dark. And as I got very wet, getting to my place, the place I was going to be living in, I knock on that door, and then the person opens and says, hello, Josie, welcome. And I just thought around, who is he talking to? Josie. And then I said to him, actually, Norman is his name. My name is Jose. Oh, yes, Josie, come on in. So completely over his head. There we go. So that was the first time my identity got a bit challenging there, because they changed my name. And I never experienced that before. Not like that. Because usually after I say something, that people make an effort to change it. Then moving that forward quickly, I get to go to work the next day. And on my first day, I was put up, to mind the phones. And as I pick up the phone for the first time, in a business that I didn't know much about. Well, I didn't know anything about because it was my first day, as you can imagine. And they were doing a session with the board meeting and everything else. So I couldn't actually, they didn't have anyone else. And they had Jose, at least they didn't call me Josie this time. Would you please mind the phone? So then I'm picking up the phone and I'm not understanding what people are saying. I'm getting phone calls from the north, from Ireland, from Scotland, from the south. Regardless, I couldn't understand a thing. And I kept on saying, well, I'm really sorry. And I started getting answers like, you're useless. And people would hang up. You are useless again. And people would hang up, you know. And this is just so disrespectful that, you know, they put someone like you on the phone and you're useless again. And you're useless until I reach a point in which, you know, I grabbed up the phone and you slam it. I'm not useless. I'm Josie, I said. Of course not. I'm Jose. I didn't do that. That's how I felt. My identity got challenged. And then unless you know what to do, you can lose yourself and who you are. I've always been quite confident, but also very weak to maintain that confidence, especially in the past. So I got knocked down. It took 2 days to knock my confidence down. And then I end up with a dialogue, this huge voice inside my head saying, Jose, go back home. Go back home. You don't belong here. Go back home. Like a criminal, like pointing a gun at me, just go home because you are useless, as they said. And then this tiny little voice, tiny little voice within me, I couldn't even hear it. Jose, stay, like a whisper, stay. There is something for you, stay. And then the story continues. So what have I done in there that you people could begin to incorporate in your storytelling as well? And as I said, this is when I speak about identity, losing identity, finding identity is part of a greater story and keynote when I speak about accents and everything else. And I'm sure there's still things I can do there to improve it. But what have I done that you could start doing as well? That you could bring into your presentations, into your storytelling specifically?
Firstly, I think, Jose, you used a real life example, which you were a part of. That makes me connect more. Yes. It wasn't like a metaphorical story about somebody.
Yeah,
Exactly.
powerful.
You made us create an image of what was happening at that moment. So you were using specific points, and then, for example, lower the voice, like a whisper, and you're playing around with the whole story. So yeah, it reminds me to my mother telling us when she used to tell us stories, like I don't know how they call it in English, but well, I think you understand.
When they read, they read bed stories, things like that before you go to bed. Yeah, and then you have a great example that sometimes we can actually revisit those moments. You know, great storytellers and moments in our life where people, you know, my mom, because the difference. I never wanted my dad to actually read the story, even though he was reading it, because he would go, imagine. And then he wakes up and he brushes his teeth, and then he goes to bed. And yes, fantastic. As opposed to my mom, she would go, and then he woke up and he looked at himself in the mirror and, you know, he was, wow, my teeth are dirty. So he went and grabbed his, you know, toothpaste, toothbrush, blah, blah. So it was a completely different thing. So there are people in our lives that do it really well, that we could begin to model, we could begin to learn from, which I really like that. And then use, as I said before, you know, use everything, all of your physiology, the voice. The more details you add, because imagine, and as I said before, Ketan, MS, Eunice, Rashmi, you know, Herman, as I said before, you know, you're delivering information and then the mind is filling in the gaps. But actually, if you grab that moment and give it loads of information, the mind in the audience is going to recreate everything. Not exactly as you're saying, it's going to be in their own way through their filters, but they're going to have, as Herman said, like a super clear picture. So if they have that super clear picture at that moment, you tell me where they're going to wander off to. They're there with you. Where else are they going to go? And then if you're doing it in a certain fashion, then they're going to stay throughout the journey. Then if you embed the point and the learning and everything else, which is what Ketan in a way did, then you're delivering something fantastic, because you're delivering a piece of learning as well as you deliver a story that is engaging. I always, you know, I was reading the other day and I loved it because it said, well, and I've read this in the past as well, that the whole storytelling in a way started when we discovered fire. We would sit around the fire, and the old people in the, in the tribe and would actually tell stories to each other, and that's how they would pass knowledge and everything else, generation after generation. And then they started painting in the caves, or maybe before they started painting in the caves, where you can see there is a storytelling element, there is the visual element in there. And then I wonder why people still decide, and this goes thousands of years. This is thousands of years ago when all of this started. And then people still decide to use bullet points on a PowerPoint presentation, when PowerPoint has only been around for what, 20 years? So when people say to me or say to you, or when you're thinking about it, well, but I'm going to be speaking to an audience full of engineers or scientists or whatever that might be, they're still humans. They still have emotions. You're creating an emotional connection. You're communicating through your body, because they call the unconscious mind in there as well. There is the conscious element that they're going to be looking for certain information depending on how you frame the whole thing. Yes, they make sure you provide that information, but it doesn't have to be on a PowerPoint with bullet points. You can actually print all of that presentation with lots of bullet points, give it to them, they can read it later. And then you illustrate each one of those points. You make a point, tell a story specifically to them. Simple example. I was coaching a wealth manager last year during the pandemic, actually. I still remember this. And he came with a presentation, and I just listened to him 3 minutes, and I just went, I'm completely overwhelmed already. Who are you presenting this to? Well, everyone really, when I go networking. Wow. Then I wouldn't be your client. I wouldn't understand. I'll be overwhelmed and switching off, because this is just too much. He would give me everything about ISAs and all of these different investment options and things like that. And I said to him, is there any other way you can present this? Can you use analogies? Can you tell me a bit of a story of a client that you serve and how that changed and impacted his life? Give me what's in it for me. Then if people ask you the details on how that's going to happen, you can give them some of it, or you can give them the brochure. There you go, read, or let's just jump on a call on a one-to-one. But what you want to give them is the result, what we all, what they all going to get. And you can illustrate that with a story. And then he had a story of a lady. Well, then he had a few stories when he realized the people he had helped. Well, the story of a lady that, she didn't have any savings, and then she started saving a little bit. She found a job. And then eventually 3-4 years down the line, she had accumulated a certain amount of money thanks to that. So it was passive income. And then I said, okay, how did she do that? So how do you help her? And then he said, well, I had these different programs, or these ISA and whatever packages, whatever they're called, not my area of expertise. Well, I was engaged. I was hooked already. I wanted to know more. I was there with him. I was understanding. So give people the result also, what's in it for them, which is very important. When I speak about stories, I want to give you now a very cool structure, and I'm going to share it. Herman have seen this many times. And when it comes to storytelling, people, there is loads. Storytelling, there is loads you can do. There are loads of different stories and types of things and structures you can follow. But I like things simple. And even for professionals, you can still use this, because it's pretty much what I used in the story I just shared with you. I'll give you a bit of an introduction or a premise where I'm at. I'm situational, giving you all the details about where I'm at that moment in time, and I want you to be there with me. And then I speak a little bit about the problem, the struggle. And I didn't give you much. I left you in a bit of a struggle because I was actually listening to my voices. And I said to you, I decided to listen to, to the tiny voice I was whispering. I said, stay. You're not such a failure after all. You're all right. That voice was kinder than that, was very soothing. And then I'm beginning to take you out. Here, I also tell the story when I was in Sweden. If I'm speaking about confidence, people say, Jose, you're very confident. Let me share this with you, because I'm 16. I'm standing in front of a Swedish audience, around 50 people in the room, parents and things. I'm there representing Venezuela, and I'm supposed to travel throughout Sweden speaking about Venezuela. And on my first presentation, I'm unable to speak. I'm there struggling. And I decided just to sit down. I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, ursäkta mig på svenska, and that was it. You see, I'm giving you a bit of a premise, the problem, what I struggle. I could give you more on the problem element of my struggle, And then how I actually came out of it. The next day, I went and had a conversation with my English teacher. He was, I mean, great guy, super fun. His English lessons were amazing. You wouldn't want to leave the room. You know, at the end, when you get the bell ringing and it's about to leave, you just wanted to be there. Still, wow, tell us more. And he laughed at me when I presented my problem to him. He just went, well, well, I'm glad you're going through it because it happens to all of us. Oh, has it happened to you? Because we don't tend to consider this. Again, we see the great presenter, but we don't think about everything that's, you know, they're being through. Yeah. So he said to me, well, next time, have a conversation with the audience. Talk to them. Even if you want to ask them questions, engage with them as if you're having a conversation one-to-one. And then I thought, well, I could do that because I do that with my, you know, English. I was doing that with my Swedish parents and with friends and stuff. Okay, let me just see how I can do that differently. And then the next one, he said to me, and have fun and bring some images. And yeah, remember that I had posters and things back in 1998. I had posters of, you know, Sweden and all of that. And that's how I actually started presenting. That's how I first overcame the greatest struggles that I thought, you know, it was back then, to freeze and be unable to speak and feel crap after that. But you see, there is always going to be people. There is a greater message here. There's going to be people that you find. If you're looking for answers, you'll find them. If you really want to overcome whatever situation, you will find the resources. If you put in the effort, the time, you begin to build everything that's underneath the water of the iceberg, whatever that might be for you. It can be becoming a great presenter. It can be running a successful business, whatever that might be. And here, you could actually tell a personal story, Ketan, which I did. Then you told the story of someone else. You can also tell a business story, which I use, and I used that back in the day with marketing when I spoke about Luis, and he was a guy within a big aerospace business and so on. The thing about the structure, that structure in there, think about the power for a moment. How many stories have I already shared with you since the very first time I started today's conversation? Maybe 4, yeah. I mean, I haven't super elaborated on them, but I've been, you know, bringing them in to illustrate a point, to share, you know, whatever it is that I want you guys to take away. 4 already. You know what I call them? I call them mini stories or vignettes. This is a system, by the way, in which you create all of these stories. I have them, and then what I do, and I still work on them. And if I want it larger, then I expand. The whole story of me coming to the UK through my struggles, picking up the phone and everything else, I can make that into maybe 5, 7, 8 minutes, especially if I embed things that have to do with inclusion and linguistic racism and things like that. I can maybe blow it out to 10. But I've got my mini stories, my vignettes that I use every time I want to, depending on the point I want to illustrate. So it's not like I need to be coming up with stories, which I can do because I like it, but I don't need to be coming up with stories all the time. If I got this kind of presentation, I know that I'm going to be using 4 of these, or maybe 5. I have them already. And they are part of I have 3 buckets. So I got the bucket when I have my successful stories, the ones that I've been using for a while, I keep on honing. I get good feedback from the audience, or what's called a payoff. People nod, people engage, people understand, people take something away, people smile. I don't get people to cry, but maybe at some point I will. On my TEDx, I almost did cry myself. But you know, it wasn't fully intended. And then I've got the okay bucket, where I actually imagine if today I wanted to tell you, okay, I'm going to tell you a story about, you know, let me just pick a picture from my phone. And then I find a picture where I'm, you know, with Herman and Rashmi, and then we're having a call, and then blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, maybe it doesn't land too well. Then I may leave it on the okay folder, or what did I call it, bucket. And then I go and work on it a bit more. So I can expand, I can improve it. So I got my, okay, yeah, these are the great ones that I'm always going back to. These ones are the ones work in progress. And there might be some of them that I've had in the past. I don't like them. I tried them once, and then I just put them away in the crap folder. And that's it. I forget about it. But then what you're doing is building like your own library of stories. And then you can begin to use those stories for whatever presentation, because this presentation I've delivered before. But then if I'm coming up with a new presentation and there are elements that I want to illustrate, I may think, yeah, if it's identity, I could use that one. But if it's also resilience, I could potentially use that one as well, because it shows how I overcame everything, and just, it shows how I became who I am today, you see? Or if I want to illustrate the neurological levels or pyramid of influence of NLP, for example, one framework, I could potentially use that story as well, you see? So I've got that story, I can be used on different places. So people, I've been speaking for a while here. Thank you so much for being with us. And I would like to quickly ask you, because this is a topic, we can speak about this for days. This workshop, I've run it for 2 days in a row. I think I did a whole weekend, like a long weekend, starting to Friday to Sunday. Last time I did this, like full on. But I wanted to make special emphasis today on the stories and how we come across and our levels of energy, how we're thinking about ourselves as we go and speak, what's going on internally, and then how we paint, images and films in the minds of our audience. So I would love to hear from you, people. 3 things, actually not 3 things, the one thing you are taking away and that you're going to do for each one of you. One thing you're taking away and one thing you're going to be doing.
I think the vignette system, I know this because I've heard it before, but then if I think I don't have one, like, I don't know, document in which I have my stories, like, for example, for a presentation, the presentation I tend to do around videos, creating videos, I could add some stories already. So you made me think, okay, I know 3 different points in which I could introduce a story, but then at the moment of the presentation, it doesn't come to mind. And I know the story, but it doesn't come to mind. So maybe it's just something to add to the, let's say, to the, to the presentation, obviously, but to add in my mind for the preparation, just to know that at certain point, I need to introduce this one. I want to introduce this one because it's going to be kind of breaking a bit the story and then continue. So grabbing people's attention again. Yeah, I think that's powerful. So
Okay.
creating that bit.
Amazing. Remember as well that, to be persuasive or to be, let's say, influential, to take people on this journey, it is important that, there's at least 3/3 of your presentation ideally should be stories, analogies, metaphors. 1/3. Actually, did I say 1/3? No, it's 3/3. Hold on, I've got that here.
3/3 is 1.
That's go my math in there. That's my math in there playing me. Hold on a second. I've got that here.
I'd say 1/3.
Yeah.
1/3.
Well, actually, yeah. Best presentations are 2/3 stories. 2/3.
2/3. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can illustrate loads of points and everything, and it doesn't have to be like a full story. You can actually add a little bit in order for people. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Because if it's a training environment, sometimes you tell a little bit of the story to show how you've applied the knowledge or what you've done with it. Imagine that I'm speaking about the circle of excellence, and then I could give you a metaphorical story, of how I've done it, how I used it in the past, how it worked for me before my TEDx. A circle of excellence is a technique to manage your state, for example, to anchor yourself to energy and whatever it is that you want. So remember when I speak about persuasion as well, we have what's called the ethos, the logos, and the pathos. And the pathos, which is the emotional connection, the stories, how we connect with the audience using all of ourselves, it's around 60-65% of the whole presentation. And then you bring in the rational data, the logic case, and deliver it through that emotional connection that you've created. And then, of course, the ethos, which is everything to do with your credibility, your resume, and your expertise. But then you only speak about that maybe 10% out of the whole thing. So think about it when you are going to present. How much am I working on the emotional connection? How much have I given people just data? Okay. And how much am I engaging? Because sometimes we may need to give people data. So if they want to create a video, Herman, they will need the how. How am I going to create my video? But then you can interrupt with some questions. And then you can ask some questions where they need to actually answer something, So how can you apply these elements specifically to your video making, and then get them, what do you think? And then you call them out. If it's a group like this, if it's speaking to a larger audience, and you give them the process, and then you get them to engage with you later on. Ketan, buddy, I'm mindful of the time now.
Yeah. So for me today, there were like expressed set of takeaways that you have actually identified, like a structural points in your presentation. And there has been a couple of, but then one prominent implied takeaway also. Express takeaways have been definitely the whole thing about the story thing. I'd never seen it this way. I did actually narrate stories in my presentations before, but not quite the way in this structure. The implied one for me was, your art of taking right amount of and right duration of pauses in your story. That kind of struck me. You gave me time to process, internalize, and then you made your point, or then you took it further from there. I think for me, that pause was, and you didn't say it that way, that's why I call it implied, but I'm sure you've thought of it, but for me, it was, I was observing you, and that pause really helped me process. Else it would have been just a narration.
There we go. So the power of the pauses, and that's fine. Thank you so much for highlighting that, Ketan, because it is something we can all practice and become aware of, using the pauses with intention, with purpose, of course, because then what you just said is key. Enable the audience to digest your points, and use it for you to take a break as well. It's just like, yeah, you share this important piece of information. It's like, I come and serve you this incredible dish, and then as you are eating it, I interrupt you. No, I wait for you to finish your dessert. And here comes, something else. I'll bring you a drink, or I'll bring you another thing. Or it can be that you're finishing the main, and then I'm going to give you dessert, and I'll keep on feeding you, but I'll let you digest that or finish it. So fantastic. I just came up with that metaphor. I'm hungry for some reason when I started speaking about the paella today. Rashmi, so what are you going to be doing before we say goodbye?
Yes, like I learned 3 things. First, like Ketan Bhaiya, my brother said about the pauses. Then second is, what is the learning for the audience? What audience is going to get from it? And third, personal thing. The story should be related something to ourselves, so that they can actually relate and like take it as realistic. 3 things.
Well, people, fantastic stuff. Here is a bit of, I'm not going to call it homework, because you can decide whether you want to do it or not. But how about, and we all do it, I mean as well, we post our stories, a mini story, a vignette in the Facebook group. And we do that before this weekend. So with everything that we've learned, we're taking away something. It can be a minute, it can be a minute and 20 seconds, or it can be 2 minutes or whatever. But let's make something short, using the structure. We, give it the intro, problem, payoff, and we have some fun. And we inspire the group as well. Wow, look at these guys already telling stories. They've learned a new way of doing it. And then you get to practice. And then I can give you feedback as well. Let's have some fun. Let's just benefit from this, because storytelling are going to change your presentations forever. And this is what great speakers do. They tell incredible stories. That's why I'm so passionate about it. I just bought myself a couple of books around storytelling, because I want to keep on crafting the skill. And also, not long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, someone said to me that your stories are not that great. So I took that to heart. Yeah, I want to improve my stories then, if I want to be an amazing, great speaker, speaking on every possible platform. And this is one of the reasons behind this group, this family, this community we're building, is to enable people to tell their stories, to sell themselves, powerfully, impactful, while having an impact, a greater impact. Ketan, what's on your mind?
Video story?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I want to see. I want to see that, oh, goodness me, that's where the stretch is. Whenever it's, oh, you know what? That is like, whatever is going on through your mind at the moment, whatever that is, whatever that reaction, that's a great moment to go and do it and then see what happens. Yes. And the community is a safe space, as you know.
Yes.
And then it's just only standing there, and then we can give feedback. Good. Well, when I say good feedback, what do you call this? Today I'm forgetting some words. It's not, what do you call that feedback that is constructive? Sorry,
Constructive.
there we go. So that word escaped my mind, but then it came back in. Amazing. And I would love to see Ketan's, Herman's, and Rashmi's. And then once I see yours, I'll post one of mine. I may just improve one of the ones I've already shared, give it a more detail, or maybe come up with a new one. But over to you guys. It's been a pleasure. Remember, people watching this on replay, this is what this community is about, is to support you, speak your greatness. And whatever it is that's stopping you from getting out there, this is what this community is for. If you think you're lacking confidence, if it's whatever in your mindset, if it's your storytelling, if it's your body language, if it's actually how to put yourself in front of a camera, how to craft your message, not just the stories, how to speak about your problem, how to speak about the solution, how to speak about the results, which is another strategy, how to pitch your business, how to create videos. You know, with this incredible guy here, Herman, he shares some incredible sessions already around videos, and he's working on a mini workshop as well. Because what we do then here are going to give you more than enough tools to start and grow digitally and offline as well, because, you know, whatever you learn, you're going to apply anywhere. But what we're doing here is going to give you the skills. And then you can start thinking about, what is my business idea? And we could even work around that. And how am I going to promote it? How am I going to use speaking to get my message out there? I've done a bit of SEO. I've done a bit of, well, of course, video marketing. I love, but that's me putting myself out there, and then Herman helping me with the edition and the team and everything else. But nothing has been more effective than speaking. Nothing to grow my business. And I know you could argue, Jose, your business is about speaking, but yeah, I also do the coaching. I have the marketing that we run together, Herman and I, and the team with Rashmi and some more people. So you can do this as well. You can deliver engaging presentations. You can get an audience to actually, be wanting to talk to you after you finished, or connecting with you, or asking you questions. Wouldn't that be fantastic, so that they all benefit from what you've got to say? So people, thank you so much for being here with us today. You're going to be watching this on replay. Ketan, I'm coming to you. This is going to be available on replay. This is available in the Facebook community. Connect with these incredible people. You can book a strategy call with me. You can also book a strategy call with Herman. If you need anything regarding speaking or marketing, then we're always available. And we call this a strategy call, which is 25 minutes. And then we can also work on putting a plan together for you to achieve what you want. Because in the end, as I said, that 20-80 Pareto, I don't care really about what you know. I don't really care anymore about what you know. I care about what you're doing with it, how you're applying it, and what you're learning on a daily basis, and how you are applying that new learning on a daily basis. Ketan, you had a question, brother?
Not a question, actually. Feedback. I don't know even if it's a feedback, but it's something that popped up in my head, and I didn't want to just go away with it. I want to bring it out here. From the moment I've started interacting with you, Jose, I've asked myself, like, what is it about Jose's style of presentation and that lady today? I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Cordelia, yes. And what is it about this that I like so much? And yet, one of my favorite public speakers is Yuval Noah Harari.
Okay.
I don't know if
Can you share in the chat, maybe?
No.
I'm sorry?
You can share in the chat if you like,
Yes.
like the name. So.
Oh, yes.
Or even
can have a
actually,
look
this is a
after.
great, Ketan, this is a great opportunity. Your favorite
In the
talk,
group?
share it in the group, and then we can all watch it. Yeah, let's use the
Yes.
group for these things. Amazing.
Yeah,
I'll watch
I
it.
will do that. He's an author, actually. He's written 3 of the most fantastic books I could ever fathom. It's a trilogy. But I'm going to share all of that in the group later. But that guy is nothing like you. Is absolutely nothing. He's more like a nerd. He comes across more like a scholastic person giving a real deep white paper presentation. Yet he is very, very engaging. And I was for the last month or so, I was still not getting an answer as to why is it, or what is it that I like about him, and at the same time I like about somebody like a Jose. And you gave an answer today that was one of the biggest takeaway for me today. That energy of certainty. He's so deep. He's so well researched. that he doesn't do most of the things because his content itself is a story. I think it's a good read for all of us here and in the community. One of his books is all about a story of how mankind evolved, but realistic, factual story presented like a story. And today I have my answer. So I just wanted to thank you, Jose, for bringing that up.
My pleasure, buddy. Well,
Cool,
thank you
that's
for coming, and in a way that got inspired, who knows, throughout the conversation. I like that. Please share that one in there.
Yes.
Because I love what you said about the factual story, tell, all that factual information presented as a story, because that's key, especially for people presenting to, scientists and engineers and things like that they think they need to give loads of details, and yet you can embed it into your story. Fantastic. Well,
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. There you go, Ketan, full of knowledge and inspiration and tips. Have you got anything else before we say goodbye? Hold on. Oh, itchy nose again. Woo.
There's a lot, but I think, it can wait.
Okay, you sure? We got 3 more minutes. Then I'm going to be podcasting in a moment.
So when you spoke about stories, I have one story, but I don't want to give it because it's my homework. So no, I'm done.
Cool.
That's going to be the story for
Amazing.
the video then.
Yeah,
Well,
for the
exactly.
video,
That
yes.
for
Possibly.
the video. Well,
Yes.
I look forward to seeing that one, and no excuses, because whatever you said to me is going to be excuse unless I see it done. Simple. And that goes to you as well, Rashmi.
You
and
might still
Herman.
have to excuse my video making skills, and Herman, you might be.
Well, that's a different story. But this one, think about it. This is your mind playing you right now.
Yes.
With that dialogue, because I never ask, it has to be professional or whatever. I said, look, just grab your phone and let's just do this. We'll do this.
Yes.
Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun in the process, in the making. I'll see
Yes.
you, because I'm about to start recording now. People, thank you so much for joining the Speak to Sell Yourself and Your Business show another day. Remember, next week we're going to have Cordelia. She's going to be speaking about tri-funnels, and she is the master of this. She is incredible. She, in a way, inspired this community as well. And you've seen her energy as well, and what she knows and how she does things. So join us. Rashmi is going to be working on some incredible design, so we promote that event everywhere. See you all. Speak your greatness. Take good care, and speak to you very soon.
You too.
We're out. All the
Bye-bye.
very best, people. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, people. Bye, 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 baby. Bye, bye. Bye, 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 Rashmi. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, people. Join us next week. Watch this on replay. Share it if you think there's value here for others as well. People share it with your community. Invite me to speak, connect, book a strategy call. If you want me to coach you on your presentation skills, confidence, if you want me to speak to your team, deliver training, I've got this actually is a workshop that I do starting at 90 minutes, and then it can go for even a full day or a couple of days, as I said before. So just get in touch. Thank you very much. And remember my website, joseucar.com, www.joseucar.com. You can reach out to me there, here, drop me an email on social media, everything else. I'll see you all very soon. Have a wonderful day. Take good care. Bye-bye.